It has been confirmed that Thomas Partey is going to leave Arsenal in the transfer window. Fabrizio Romano has come out to say that Thomas Partey will leave, and Arsenal are now lining up to bring in new midfielders. So today I'm going to talk about what we can expect in the future, who we should replace Thomas Partey with, and whether it's actually a good idea. But before I begin, if you're new here, please smash that subscribe button and smash the like button. Turn on those notifications too, it would really help me out. The support has been immense recently. I've also got a membership in the bio if you're interested, as always, to see these videos quicker than everybody else. So let's begin. So I just want to talk about Thomas Partey and whether this is actually a good thing, because we've seen when Thomas Partey is in the side, he really does make a difference for us. But we can't lie to each other. He has been injured so many times for us. Last season, it really ruined us. This season, it really ruined us as well, not having him available. And Arteta's main ideas and his main things about his players is that they have to, at a minimum, to have good availability, and Thomas Partey simply doesn't have that. And I think sometimes we as fans need to understand that although somebody is so good, we need to start letting them go. We're starting to regress. Partey's starting to get on. He's around 29 years old now. We're a young team. We need players that are going to be available throughout a 38-game season, plus more with the Champions League, FA Cup and Carabao. So maybe it is the right time to let him go. And I think with the Saudi teams lurking around, I think we'll get a really good fee for him. There won't be easy opportunities around for us to replace Thomas Partey because he's a very unique sort of player. You just can't go around and find yourself a Thomas Partey, somebody with brilliant passing ability, someone with good awareness as well. His athleticism has fallen off, which has probably led to us making this decision. He's just not got that athleticness that he had when he came into the club. But what do you think, Gunners? Do you think this is the right time for Thomas Partey to leave the club, or are you really disappointed? Because I know I've made a couple of videos talking about him, saying that he's a top player and that he can really make a difference for us next season. But it's now looking like that's definitely not going to happen. So what do you think? Thomas Partey, is it the right time to let him go or not? Now there is a dilemma. Of course, we've got Declan Rice in the midfield who will sit at the base. This probably means with Thomas Partey leaving, we won't see him at 8 as much for next season, and that's okay. I think Declan Rice's best position is in that 6. He's so much better when he's been in that 6 with intercepting, winning the ball back, driving with the ball. Is so much better from that central area. So maybe that's a positive for us. Maybe we'll see a bit more energy in that midfield. I think Thomas Partey's interceptions and his anticipation is at a top level, but I've mentioned before his athleticism has fallen off. But Declan Rice's best attribute is with his engine, with his athleticism. It really makes him a top player. So now we just need to find somebody to complement him in front of him in that left 8, somebody that can interchange. And there's a couple of people. Bruno Guimaraes, I'm a big fan of him. He may be a bit of an annoyance on the pitch, but I think his qualities will fit really well with Declan Rice. I'm not going to talk about Odegaard just now, but between Declan Rice and Guimaraes, I think a lot of rotations can happen. Guimaraes can easily play that 6 if needed to, and Declan Rice can play a bit higher. It just depends on the game state. You know, we as fans, I think we're a bit basic with formations. There's something called situational positioning. So basically players end up in certain positions because of just the game state, just because of the game situation. So we'll find Bruno Guimaraes in the 6, we'll find Rice in the 8, but it doesn't mean that's their fixed positions. And I think having Bruno Guimaraes, his brilliant passing ability from deep and just his brilliant intercepting, he's also really good at intercepting, and it's one of his underrated traits. And I think we can get most of what we've lost with Thomas Partey through Guimaraes, and I think that's why we've got to go for him. I think they are asking for around 80 million. Thomas Partey, I'd expect him to go through around 25, 20. He is getting older. You know, people know how much his wages are. A lot of wages will be saved with Thomas Partey leaving the club. So, yeah, for me, Bruno Guimaraes, I've talked about him in a separate video. His stats are unreal. Champions League, he's showing up. Premier League, he's showing up. We've all seen how good he is. And I think he'll be really complimentary to Declan Rice. But you then also have to think about Odegaard. What player in the midfield would pair really well with him? We know Odegaard likes the responsibility of being the main creator. I think bringing in Guimaraes would take a lot of responsibility away from Odegaard, and I think that's bad. Odegaard needs to be constantly involved in the play, to always be on his toes. So maybe getting someone like Guimaraes would be better for Declan, but not better for Martin Odegaard. And I think most of us really want to see Martin Odegaard carrying on playing at the level he is. So maybe Guimaraes isn't the one for us. Maybe we need somebody with a bit more athleticism, somebody with a lot of potential, is still really young. And I think you guys may know who I'm going to go on to. Amadou Onana of Everton, and I'm a big fan of this kid. I think he's got a lot of potential, and I think it was kind of interesting. I've talked about the Everton Arsenal game previously, and I said this is the sort of game where I was seeing the king pass down his crown to the heir of the throne, because he really did show Thomas Partey some levels. Not many midfielders can say that. The amount of times Onana just dribbled past Thomas Partey like he wasn't there, little shimmies of his body. That 6'5" frame is a joke, and he's got really good technical ability. It's really underrated. Of course, your Arteta players need to be really good on the ball, and I've got no doubts in my mind that Amadou Onana is a top player with the ball at his feet, and he'll fit really well. And of course, it helps Declan Rice too. Having somebody next to him who can come into the 6, go into the 8, the rotation will still be there. Maybe his levels of technical ability isn't as high as Bruno Guimaraes, which may be a bad thing for Declan, because we want somebody next to Declan who's got better ball playing abilities, helping us with the build up. But I think Onana can definitely learn to be on that level of Bruno Guimaraes in the build up. So I think also why I want him is he's better with Odegaard, because Odegaard, let's be honest, in the duels in the midfield, he's not the best, especially on those big Champions League nights. He'd go into hiding. You don't want players going into hiding, going into 50-50s. So I think for me, Onana would then take the pressure off Odegaard to be pressing as frantically as he does in the middle of the park, freeing up a lot of energy for him to then go and attack. And I think that's what you need, really. So I think this kid to replace Thomas Partey wouldn't be a bad shout either. The list could go on for potential signings we could make. You've got Neves. You've got just so many players I could name. But I think for me, maybe it's time to look internally. And I think maybe Miles Lewis-Skelly and Ethan Nwaneri, maybe this is their time to shine. For me, it would be Miles Lewis-Skelly, because I think Nwaneri is better in that Odegaard role. Nwaneri, I've made a video about him. His ball carrying is exceptional. His passing ability is also really underrated. And I think now we've got to start trusting in our academy boys, because if the academy boys don't see that they're going to be used, or that players are just going to be signed when there's them as solutions there, they won't want to stay at the club. So I think maybe Arteta, it's time to trust Lewis-Skelly. Maybe bring him on that pre-season trip. Let's see how good he can be for us when we go on tour, and then make a decision from there, because he's left-footed. He can play in that pocket in the 8. He can sit in the 6 with Declan Rice going into the 8 as well. So it adds so much fluidity to our attacking play, but he's also really good defensively. He's starting to learn to play in the 6. And maybe that's an option. But Gunners, let me know, do you think we should look outside and go for the likes of Onana, Guimaraes, Neves, you name it, Fofana? Who do you think we should bring in? But do you maybe think we need to start looking inwards to our academy, to the likes of Lewis-Skelly? But anyway, Gunners, that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed the video. And yet again, thank you so much for the support recently. It has been insane. Obviously, I'm going to be making more videos in the future about this transfer window. So without further ado, peace. See you guys later.